Hello, and welcome once again to Family Historian. My name is Stephen Conti. Tonight we are going to learn about the genealogical record sources of a very proud Germanic people, the Danube Swabians, or in German, the Danube Swabian. I said that in my high school German. And joining me tonight, I am very honored to have as my guest a man named Dennis Bauer. Dennis is a direct descendant of these wonderful people. He is a professional genealogist. He has been with the Association of Professional Genealogists, and he is the author of 3 books. And on tonight's show, he's going to tell us about his ancestors and, of course, the Danube Swabian. And now, let's welcome Dennis Bauer. Dennis, willkommen.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you right now for coming all the way up here from your home in Levittown, Pennsylvania, to talk about your family and these wonderful people, the Danube Swabians. I don't think most Americans know about your people, so we have to learn that tonight. First of all, where is Swabia, the land that they came from in Germany? Where is it in relation to the rest of Germany?
If you look at the map of Germany, southwest, it was a duchy at one time and now takes up part of Bavaria, Baden-Württemberg, and that area along the Rhine River.
And is that near the Schwarzwald?
Yes.
The Black Forest?
The Black Forest.
You know,
correct.
I've been to Germany on 4 occasions, and I think I was even in Swabia without even knowing it. It's a beautiful area, and we do have some photos of Swabia. It was never its own country.
Correct.
But they do have their own flag.
At the time, yes.
At that time,
yes.
Okay. And the Danube Swabians came after that time.
Yes, they came from various other regions also.
Right, right. And the language that they speak, you told me it was a kind of Plattdeutsch, which is a Low German?
Yes, compared to today, Hochdeutsch or High German. So it's semi-familiar or similar to the Pennsylvania Dutch or the Pennsylvania Germans.
Right, because you know that. You live right in Pennsylvania.
Yes,
so
I
you
do.
understand the Pennsylvania Dutch?
Just a little bit.
I see, okay. Now, let's go way back in time to the distinction of the Danube Swabians. And of course, we are referring to the beautiful blue Danube, and this is the river that they traveled on to get to various parts of Europe. Is that correct?
That is correct. They go down into Yugoslavia area, which
right,
and Serbia now.
Right, right. Now, you made a very good timeline for me. I always like to include history and genealogy, as you all know, because the two you cannot separate. The year 1717, and that was a big year, the Ottoman Empire was in control of Austria at that time.
Hungary, Austria, that area down along the Danube. Yes,
right.
Correct.
And there was a Frenchman from Lorraine, and his name was Count
Mercy.
Count Mercy, okay.
Yes.
And he was the one who defeated the Turks.
Right, in addition to allies from Poland and other parts of Germany, which is now Germany, they defeated and drove the Turks back out of that area down into Hungary and what's now Romania also.
And they really left their mark. The Turks left their mark. The Ottoman Empire left their mark in Austria.
Yes.
So they had to people this area with hardworking people, and this is where your people came in. Is that correct?
That's correct. It was somewhat decimated and also barren. So several emperors and empresses then invited hardworking people down to that area, such as our pioneers going west here in the United States.
Yes. And there is a book, and we will highlight this book, The Danube Swabians, Pioneers and Refugees. It's a very good book. I don't know if you know of that book, but it really tells you the history of the Danube Swabians. Now, another year that we have, 1722, that was the year that you were invited into Austria.
Correct.
by this Count Mercy and some others.
And Emperor Coral.
Right.
Yes.
And we mustn't forget the Empress Maria Therese.
Correct. She was the second wave of invitees down into this area.
Right. She was the mother of Marie Antoinette. And we all know what happened to Marie Antoinette. Right. Okay. And then the next year we have is 1783, I believe, or
Correct.
1782.
And that was Emperor Joseph.
Right.
And he invited a third wave down, at which time previously it was open to Roman Catholics only.
Right.
He then opened it up to Protestants.
So
namely Lutherans.
the Danube Swabians are mostly of the Roman Catholic faith, mostly.
Mostly, yes.
But the second wave that came in were Lutheran.
The third wave.
Okay, all
Yes.
right. Now, you began this journey on the Danube. I guess you had boats on the Danube, and there is a famous painting of the Danube Swabians. Are they embarking or disembarking? You had that photo in your home.
That was when they arrived to the barren lands, if you will, to make settlement. And they had come down through the Danube on these barges,
Right,
which they then disassembled and used that as building material.
right, right.
And they initially got on the Danube in and then Regensburg, and then down through the Danube.
Yes,
There was a check-in point at Vienna
right,
where they got assigned to different areas within Hungary at the time, and then on down the Danube to Oppiton, and then some got off there and some went down further around the bend on the Danube.
So you have cousins all over Europe then?
Correct.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, if, as far as Serbia, you told me, and Croatia?
Croatia, Hungary.
Right. But these people, the Danube Swabians, they kept their culture,
Yes.
and they kept their religion, of course, and their language.
And their language, yes.
I'd like to interject something here. Back in the 1980s, I went to Romania. We forgot to mention Romania.
Yes.
I went to Romania, and I went to a beautiful mountain town called Sighișoara. Now, that's the Romanian name. There were Hungarians living there, and they called it Segesvar, and there were Germans living there. In fact, I stayed with a German family, and the Germans called it Scheshburg. Now, as I recall, without my knowing, these may have been descendants of the Danube Swabians, these Germans that I met in Romania at that time. And they wanted to go back to Germany. They were not happy in Romania. It was under communist rule.
Right.
So as I remember, but they did speak German, and they called themselves Germans. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, yes. Not only did the Donauschwaben settle along the Danube River, but certain then migrated over to the Ukraine and so on, also
Right.
and spread out. But
Right.
the major Donauschwaben settlements were along the Danube River.
Right. And then in the year 1867, we had the formation of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Right.
And your people were very much a part of that.
Yes.
I see. Let's get to the sources now, because our show is about genealogy. Now, you have taken your family back to the 1600s. Is that correct?
Certain lines, yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Now, were there Swabians who never made the journey, who stayed in Swabia and are still in Swabia today?
Oh, most certainly. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But the Danube Swabians made that distinction, and you have your own flag.
Yes.
Even though you are the Swabian, but now it's the Danube Swabian, the Donau Schwabisch or the Donau Schwaben.
Donauschwaben, yes.
Okay, now
Yes.
I know. Okay. Now,
And that's basically the flag there.
Right.
On the label.
right. With this on this mug we have
Yes.
right here.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, the sources that you used were mostly from church records.
That's correct. The Roman Catholic Church records were invaluable, and they were microfilmed by the Latter-day Saints, so they're available to the public.
Right, and we do have some examples of them. I know you have them right here. Just tell us, you have a birth record here from what year?
I have a birth record from my great-grandmother, and that is 1871 from Plavna, which is in the Bachka region.
Right.
And then Also have a marriage record from my great-grandfather and grandmother, Christian Bauer and Elizabeth Bonert, and that is 1898 from Baca Palanca,
Right.
which is down the river a bit from Plavna.
So you would say most of your research was done using the Roman Catholic Church records,
Correct.
most of them. Yeah.
And supplements by other books and things along those
Right.
lines.
And speaking of books, I do want to highlight the two books that you wrote, which are great information books for the descendant of the Danube Swabian, okay? And what is this one called? This is a collection of...
Collection of genealogical information of Palanca Americans and related families. Palanca was the town where my one grandparents came from.
Yeah.
And me, in addition with one of our late members, Peter Kiss, accumulated. We started with obituaries from the
Right,
Trenton area
right.
and around the area. And then after he passed, I started putting everything together, including additional records.
And these are families from this particular town only, okay?
Yes, correct.
And we have another one here, and what is this called right here? This is a family
That's
record.
from Bochca to Trenton, and the trip to America in 1913 by Lawrence Hellice family. That's my great-grandfather on my dad's side, his mother.
Right. So you mentioned Trenton, and I never knew this, but there's a large percentage of your people who settled in Trenton, New Jersey,
Correct.
and Philadelphia as well.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I have done many shows on many ethnic people, you know, Irish, Italian, Russian, you know, I've done many, but yours impressed me the most because you're so efficiency. Well, the German people are a very efficient people anyway. Many of these records have been put into secondary sources and they're available in Germany, and you sent away for them.
Yes.
I have one in my hand right now. This is, what would you call this book right here? This is a secondary source.
Right. That is an accumulation of the check-in records, if you will, from Vienna when they came down the river and got their assignments for where they
In
were
other
going
words,
to settle.
the settlement book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you found your ancestors in here, I'm sure.
Yes. Some of them, yes.
And what information does this book give?
Each one is a little bit different. Some is more comprehensive than others.
Yeah.
But some of those do give the exact location in Germany where they came from, who were with them. Some just give 5 children or whatever, and then where they were going to in some cases, but not every record reflects
Right.
that.
But
it's
this is a great
travel
secondary source.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And you sent to Germany for these?
Yes.
And these are just on the Swabian people, the
Yes, correct.
Danube Swabian.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is another book here. In your best German, what is this?
Okay, the Danube Swabian names of the villages, if you will, because the villages change name over time. Like my ancestors came from Baca Palanca, which was also known as Palanca,
Right.
Old Palanca,
Right.
New Palanca, German Palanca, Plankenberg. So that's a cross-reference because you may find information under one name and you have no idea what it is today.
Right.
So that's a cross-reference.
For the
towns,
and-
settlements.
right,
Yes.
right. Now the book that really impressed me, and it begins with an O.
Ortsippenbuch. Yeah.
Say it one more time.
Ortsippenbuch.
Ortsippenbuch, and
Right.
that translates into what?
Town family book for the most part.
A town family
Family
book.
book, right.
Okay, and we have one right here.
This
And-
is a familiar book. The title is for Parabuch, but it actually is basically the same format. It lists people, their children, their birth dates, their marriage dates, and then it references to their parents, and so on and so on and so on. So it's an actual treasure trove.
It is, really?
Yes.
Now, did you compare your primary sources to the secondary sources? And did you find accuracy all the time?
In most cases, yes, they're pretty right on. In some other cases, unfortunately, a small percentage, there were errors, like in
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
But my great-grandfather, there was an error in there. His brother had passed away, so they had him as passing away, and that was not his birth date. He comes later. So
Right.
I did find that and verified that through the Latter-day Saints.
Right.
So there are some errors in these, but certainly they're a great starting point, and you should always check your secondary sources if you can with primary
Of
sources.
course, that's right. That's because the primary source will authenticate the secondary source.
Yes.
That's very important. I've been saying that for years. I know I've been to your home in Levittown, Pennsylvania.
Yes, very nice
And
visit.
Yes, Dennis has a wonderful genealogy room where his computer is, and you can really go there and do research. You have the file cabinets of all these records, very well organized, and you have many of these Ortsippenbuchs there.
Correct. Yes.
How many towns would you say you had?
Oh, most of them are from the Botchka area. I'm going to say probably 60 books regarding that, and some other areas like the Banat
Right.
or other areas near Budapest and so on.
What is the Botchka area for the benefit of our viewers?
That's basically a county or a region within the Danube Swabian area. We have the Banat, which was part of Hungary and then part of Romania. That's the Banat. And then you have the Botchka, and then you have Swobodziec, Turkey, and so on and so on. They're counties for the most part.
Where the Danube Swabian
Settled.
settled,
Yes.
okay, and are still living. Is that, would you say they're still there?
Well,
Many of them?
unfortunately, many suffered after World War II and fled or died in camps.
Right.
So there are not very many Danube Swabian left within
Right.
Serbia, Hungary, and so on.
Except this family that I met in Romania, because they had been there for years upon years,
Mm-hmm.
and they called it Szechborg. So they kept their, as I look back, but I never knew of the existence of your people until now. It's amazing. It's amazing. I know the Danube Swabian are a very organized people and a very proud people. Your family came over in around what year? Your direct line.
My Bowers came over in 1901. My Hellises came over in 1913. And then my Bonart, my great-great-grandmother, she came over in 1929.
Right, and we have photos of your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandma, okay?
Right.
And they settled in Trenton,
Yes,
is that
Trenton,
correct?
Chambersburg area.
Right. And is there still a lot of influence there?
The ethnicity of Chambersburg has changed somewhat. It used to be German, Hungarian, Italian, so it has changed somewhat. Most of them have moved on to the outer suburbs of
Right.
Trenton or over in the Bucks County.
Where you are,
Yes,
right, yeah.
Right, or on to Ohio and California, Florida.
Yeah, but in your case, you're now living in Levittown, Pennsylvania, and your family came over in the pre-World War Ellis Island years, is that correct?
That's correct. Pre-World War I, and then my great-grandmother came over after World War I, before World War II.
Right. And
The others from the club, our Trenton Danube Swabian Club, a large number of them came over after World War II.
And these were displaced persons. You had mentioned that to me.
Yes. Unfortunately, they were driven out of their homes. Some suffered under camps.
Yes.
Some fled ahead of the partisans.
Yes.
And they were in displaced camps in Austria and Germany. And many of them decided to make a venture and come to the great United States.
Right, right.
Canada, Australia, Brazil, Argentina. So,
Well, we're glad you're here.
I
But
am too.
I've never seen a people so well organized and they have such a passion for their heritage.
yes, and their culture.
And I know that you're wearing a very handsome vest here with a lot of medals on it. Can you explain to our viewers what this is called in German?
tract. A tract.
A tract?
Right. What happens is the Danube Swabian from North America, every year we have a treffen. We get together.
All right. What is a treffen?
That's a gathering.
A gathering.
A get together.
All right.
And we have people from all over the United States and Canada. We get together, maybe 5,000. And we have generally over Labor Day weekend. And we have cultural events, dancing, food.
Beer drinking.
Beer, wine.
Yeah, right.
A good time. And everybody gets the men wear their vest.
Yeah.
And then the women wear their costumes from the old country, trindles.
And this designates all the treffens that you have been involved with.
Right. This is Trenton's, so we wear this, and then we put a piping on ours,
right,
make it look a little fancier with silver buttons.
Right.
And then we also trade buttons from the different clubs.
Yes.
And then also from the different treffens that we've been to.
And we do have some photos of these treffens, and I think it's your son-in-law who's holding the Danube Swabian flag in a very proud manner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, would you call yourself like the staff genealogist? I think people come to you a lot.
Yes, I'm Vice President of Trenton Danube Swabian, and I'm also the genealogist and the newsletter editor.
Okay, and we do have a copy of the newsletter right here, which I'm sure you'll put tonight's show in, I hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me one more thing. What would you tell the beginner, the Danube Swabian beginner? Where can they start? I mean, I think it's right there. It's so easy.
Well, a little story. I did not know about the Danube Swabian heritage until late 20th century. I was always told by my grandparents, and when they spoke German, that we were German.
Yeah.
And it's when I started doing more research, I found out that we were actually Danube Swabian. And so you want to start there. Obituaries are a good starting point. Death records, so a lot of them will give the name of the towns where they came from. And a lot of people will find out that that's not in Germany. That may have been in Hungary or in Serbia, Romania, Croatia.
Yes.
So then that gives a great clue.
Now, you've been to Germany, I'm
yes,
sure.
I have. Yes.
And did you go to any of your ancestral villages?
I went to not any of them per se. I was in Munich and the area around Munich and up in Regensburg. And that's where they would have got on. So indirectly, yes, I was. There just was not enough time, unfortunately.
But the village in Swabia, can you tell us again what that name was? Plank?
Well, in Yugoslavia, it was Baka Palanka. Yes.
I see,
yes.
I see.
Yeah.
So you might have some distant cousins there right now.
Yes, I did find, several years ago, I found a cousin that is now in Novi Sad, which is down in the Danube. From Baka Palanka, and then I found another cousin, a distant cousin in Bosnia.
Right, isn't that something?
Yes.
So the Danube Swabian researcher has to really travel around. I mean, you have to find out where these records are.
Correct. Like, as an example, my grandfather was born in Baka Palanka, but his father was born in Veprovac, which is north of there. And then my grandmother was born in Bach, but her parents were from Godobra, and some of them got married outside their own town. 2 towns are here. Here's a central location, so that's where they may have records for their marriage, yet their birth records may be in different towns nearby.
Right. So now one record will lead to the next. Is that?
Yes. Yes. Generally, they reference where they were born if it's a marriage record per se.
So in this kind of genealogy, you go from the known to the unknown.
Correct. Start with the present, what we do know, and work backwards.
And that's how you organize. That's how you organize your research.
That is correct. Yes.
My fine guest, Dennis Bauer. Bauer means farmer.
That is
in
correct,
German.
the German word.
Right,
Yes.
okay. Dennis has many other interests besides genealogy, which I think is enough. but he loves, I think you are a real Germanophile. You collect, tell our viewers the kind of automobiles that you collect.
Well, I've been a long-time owner of a Volkswagen Beetle. I had a
Volkswagen. Yeah.
I had a 65, a 71, a 72. I now have a 75. I had a 2003.
Yeah.
And we have a local club over in Levittown of all.
And I've seen your various trophies.
Yes, for car shows. Yes.
Yeah. So we do have other interests besides genealogy, but I think genealogy is the passion of your life. Am
Absolutely.
I correct about that?
Absolutely. Yes.
And I know I've been to your beautiful home in Levittown, and you had the genealogy of your wife on the wall, and yours was there also.
Correct.
And you're also, or could be, a son of the American Revolution.
Yes, I had three, on my mother's side, I had three German ancestors that served in the American Revolution.
Right, but you're not a member yet. But you could.
No, I could make application under one of them.
For the, it's amazing. Yeah, well, you exemplify an all-American guy.
I have Irish too.
Irish, okay, great. Well, listen, this has been a wonderful interview, learning about a German people that I had no knowledge of, the Danube Swabian. How's that? Okay,
very good.
The Danube Swabian. Danke sehr for coming on my show. Auf Wiedersehen.
All right,
vielen Dank. Yes, auf Wiedersehen to my viewers.
All righty.
And remember, we are all descendants of ancient civilizations. Genealogy is your key to the history of your family. And so until next time, this is Stephen Conti wishing you the very best of luck in your research, and above all, happy ancestor hunting. Good night.